Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. Welcome to a video that's probably going to be a little bit on the longer side, which is funny because a lot of my videos are super long anyways. But what I wanted to do here is I've been recently watching a lot of Dr. Spector's daily Balatro videos where basically he has a run and he'll go through every single little decision, everything in the shop, every card, every this, every that, what kind of hand do we want to play, etc. So what I wanted to do is sort of take that idea and then try to apply it here to Dead Cells, right? So a lot of times, you know, if you folks have seen my channel, seen some videos, I do a lot of post commentary, every once in a while some live commentary, but I wanted to do a live commentary. Let's draw everything out more than usual, right? Let's draw it out more than usual. Let's kind of figure out what's going on here. So basically, what I'm going to do here, so I usually play on 5BC. I'm going to do 4BC here, so that way there's no malaise. We're not going to hit the spoiler biome or spoiler boss, right? So we're going to keep things within the confines of just like a normal, quote-unquote, like normal run. I know some folks here haven't been to 5BC yet, so we're going to keep it at 4BC here. And what we'll do is let's just start kind of going through the process here. So I think it may be I want to say it's 1BC. Every time you start a run, you're going to have an amulet here. So we're kind of going into what I like to call, I'd say it's the beginning, right? So if we're going to chunk Dead Cells into different phases of a run, the way I look at it is that there's 4 phases, right? So there's the beginning phase, which is what we're looking at here, thinking about the prisoner's quarters. So we have our amulet, which has a scroll, spread of scrolls. So you can see this one here has 1 brutality, 1 survival. So we're going to grab that no matter what. Always grab this amulet here. We're going to grab that, and then we're going to make our way over to the recycling tube. So just taking a quick peek here, right? So we burn the ground when we run, which is really nice. Downward smash attacks cover the ground with inflammable oil. So just looking at this here, you can see both burn and inflammable oil are in like an orange color. That indicates that there's a little bit of synergy between the two. They're both sort of fire-ish sort of things. So if we're looking at this, if we were to slam down, actually, let me grab this here. So if we were to slam, you can already see it here. When you slam down, I'll take it over here a little bit. I can't, actually, I can't because everywhere I go, it's burning. If we slam down here, we have oil. And then as I run, the oil's going to burn. So we already have burning oil. We haven't touched anything yet. So normally, what I like to do when I'm leaving the prisoner's quarters, if I can, is we're going to have 2 scrolls and the stat that I choose for the run. Again, that's part of the beginning phase. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we hit the tubes. But the other thing here is we already have some really good, we have damage over time from fire, and we have the possibility of burning oil without doing anything. We're not doing a thing here. So innately, we got ourselves some nice synergy here, and you can tell the difference too. So burning oil is this sort of purplish blue kind of flame, and you'll see that burning is just the normal, you know, orange and red kind of flame. So that's something to consider, right? So we have some synergy right off the bat. Items will either have plus 40% to burning or plus 100% to burning oil. So there's a possibility just by wearing this amulet that we're going to get either 40% extra damage or 100% extra damage if any of these items have that or those affixes, right? You can recycle this for $1. Why not, right? And the other thing too is if you look in the bottom right of the screen, I have 1 gold. I have no cells. I did not pick up the gold reserves bag. I did not pick up the cells bag from my last run. We're going to start completely from scratch here. And I normally don't have my seed on. You can see in the bottom right hand corner above the 4 boss cell icon, there's a seed there. It's 932585. I did a video with V a little while ago, v.me. Dude's the man. We did a video together, and I put the seed on there so that way, you know, we could have it displayed. So I'm going to keep that on there. So I guess that way, if you'd like to try this run, try the same kind of thing in your own backyard, see how things go, you can grab that seed. So we're going to make our way here into the recycling tubes. Okay, so here is what I would consider part of the beginning of the phase, right? So there's the beginning, there's the early game, mid game, and late game. So the beginning phase of a run, I would say, is between this area here at the beginning of the prisoners' quarters into or through the first biome. So what we're doing here is we're trying to find a build that is going to take us through the prisoners' quarters and into the next biome. One of the things that I see people do is I'll see them come in here, they'll pause, they'll go to restart because they don't like what's in the tubes. I feel like that's a slippery slope. I feel like once you start doing that, that's kind of a habit where you will look and say, well, I want to try something else. I don't like this. I don't like that. And it can kind of become a little bit of a loop. So what I would recommend is just look at this and find something that feels good. Either that like you're familiar with or you're like, oh, hey, like right here, right? I don't usually use the Valmont's Whip. Let me try it out. And part of that is if you pick an item that you're not necessarily familiar with or something that you really haven't dug into, if you take it here and you say, okay, I want to set my early game up in this way. I usually don't take brutality. I can see here from the red on the left of the Valmont's Whip, it's red and purple. It's a little bit harder to see, but there's like a little bit of red, what do you call it? Like an aura around it, similar to how here you can see there's a green aura around the tombstone at the bottom, a red aura around the fire grenade at top. It's really hard to see. I think when I edit this, I'll zoom in a little bit so you folks can actually see it. But the worst thing that happens if you take an item that doesn't work out, or something that you don't like, or something that is just not really fitting, it's not vibing with you, if you die in prisoners' quarters, who cares? Right? Who cares? You might have some gold reserves, you're not going to have any cells, but worst case, you just start off. You just start off again right where we are here. Something else I want to mention, so if you look over here, the throwing axe and the thunder shield both have stars on them. Over here, the whip sword has a star on it. Those are special affixes. So there are certain starred affixes. One of the starred ones that you might see on a bow is Pierce All, which is shots pierce all targets. So when you shoot your bow and arrow, the arrow does not stop at that first enemy. Sometimes you'll see shots pierce the first target, so it will go through the first and hit the second. Shots pierce all goes through the whole line. If you have 15 enemies lined up, I mean, this would never happen, but if you have 15 zombies back to back to back to back, if you have that pierce all and you shoot that bow, it's going to go through every single one of them. So that's just one example. So that's also something to consider here. It's something to consider where it's like, okay, some of these items have a star on it that may give me a bonus or benefit early on in this beginning phase. Do I want to take that? Do I want to take that? So for this particular setup here, I'm not going to take Spartan sandals and actually maybe let me think about this. So I'm not going to take this one here. I just personal, for this run, I like to fill up my entire build. So you take one range, or you take two of the bottom three. Always going to be a melee, then a ranged, then a shield. Take two of the bottom three, and I like to take both skills. I'm not going to take taunt, which is the one that's second down from the top. It's just not a skill that I love. So I'm not going to grab that one. No way. So I'm going to rule this one out here. This tube here is pretty good. Tombstone is a very good item. It will lean towards survival. It's a survival only item. We have the throwing axe, which has its place. The arc of which it is thrown is not something I love. So it would be Tombstone, Thunder Shield, Wolf Trap, Fire Grenade. That's not too bad. Over here, we have that whipped sword, or I should say whip sword with the start affix. We don't know what this is yet, right? You can't check the affixes on any of these things until you grab them. So, but it also has infantry bow, which is one of my favorite ranged items. It's quite good. It crits at close distance. You have a shield, 4 shields. You have phaser, and you have double crossbow-matics. You have a trap. So, for me, it's between this one here in this one here. So if I were actually to take this here, I would have ice shards into Spartan sandals so I could slow enemies and kick them across. I'd have my shield in the backpack, root grenade, and lightning rod here. So those are some good skills, but I think I'm going to take this one here, and there's 2 reasons for it. The first is that I do want to see what that starred affix is on that whip sword. I'm most likely not going to take it unless it's a banger, right? But I want to check it out. And like I mentioned, infantry bow is one of my favorite ranged items. So if the whip sword is not something I want to take, I have an entire build to fall back on. So this is the tube. This is a tube that I'm going to take. So whip sword, let me check the inventory here. Okay, increases your movement speed for 5 seconds after killing an enemy. With this weapon, sometimes it's really cool to see that on another skill. If you have some other kind of thing like swift sword, you get velocity or something like that, get rich quick or whatever. This isn't going to do anything for us. This is not something I'm interested in. So I'm going to grab the infantry bow instead. Again, you don't have to recycle this. I'm just going to do this to get it off the map. I'm going to grab the shield. I'm going to grab the turret, and I'm going to grab the phaser. So now we're beginning, we're starting the beginning phase of the run. So the other part of it too, I'm going to, actually I don't need to pause here. There's no malaise. The other part too is this is where you decide. It's like when you take a road trip and you say, where do I want to go? Do I want to go north? Do I want to go south? Do I want to go west? Do I want to go east? Whatever it is. When you get in your car and drive, you want to have a destination in mind, right? Even if you're just like, hey, I want to drive to wherever. I want to drive to New York City right now. You know you're going to New York City. You might not know how you get there. So when it comes to taking scrolls, you're going to want to take the scrolls that are going to give you the stats that you want for your build. I don't know where I want to go yet. I don't know what's in the rest of this prisoner's quarters. I don't know what we might find in a shop, which we'll talk about when we get there. I don't know, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that for now. And I'm just going to start to go through the biome, right? And this is just sort of, normal gameplay, right? We're just going to make our way through with the idea that let's see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. We got ourselves a barnacle here, right? Barnacle's a pretty good turret. I may want to take that and then go tactics, right? I have the double crossbow-matic, which is also a tactics item. So we might want to take the barnacle and have double traps here. Maybe we don't. Right? Maybe we don't take that barnacle and we find something else, right? So I'm going to leave it on the map. We'll keep it there just as a reminder, right? So when we come here, I can say, all right, when I'm cleaning up, do I want that barnacle? The other thing, so now we have this one path here and we have an elite. So another thing that I want to consider is I'm definitely not going to hit the 2-minute door, right? We're definitely not going to hit the 2-minute door. We have 1 minute and 50 seconds already, so that's not going to happen in any world. That's not happening. So I want to leave here with 30 kills because that will give me a chance to get the kill door, and maybe something in there is going to help out, right? You'll always get Cell's Little Gold. Maybe there's an item that's going to fit. Maybe there's a better amulet that's going to give us more stats depending on what build we decide to choose. So one of the things that to consider here, I already have 13 enemies that I've killed. There will be 30. There's 30 more for sure. I think there's like 60 something in prisoners' quarters, maybe 50 something or whatever. But there's an elite here, and this is our only path forward. This is our only path forward at all. What I was going to mention is like, hey, maybe we can take this path here, right above the scroll. Let's go to the right and see what it is. But if I zoom out, you can kind of see, if you zoom all the way out, I'm going to focus in a little bit here. You can see that blue wall with like a little bit of a circle next to it. So that is the specialist showroom, which is a dead end. If that was just a regular corridor, what I'd say is let's try that. Let's move out of our way. Let's leave this elite for now. Let's go down that corridor and let's see what happens. But that's not an option. That's a dead end here. So what am I going to do? So I have to engage this elite. I have no choice. I'm going to get this rat out of the way. And then I'm going to throw my turret down. So I have a skill. I have phaser here, bottom left. It's going to teleport me behind an enemy. It's going to put me really close. It's going to put me in close range here. I don't know what effect this elite can have. It might have a box. There might be 2 of them. I don't know. So I'm not going to use that. So my move here, I'm going to throw the trap down close enough to the elite where it starts hitting it. And then I'm going to see what the effect is. So what do we got? Okay, so now we have a protected elite here. So I'm not going to kill. I'm going to hit both of these diamonds here. We're going to take the elite down pretty quickly here. 2 survival stats with an extra jump. If I choose to go survival, this is a very good amulet. Extra jumps are very, very, very useful. If I choose brutality or tactics, I can also take this amulet because that means there's a better chance of me getting a good dual stat and a good dual stat scroll. So in the next biome. So think when I say good dual stat, if I were to take survival, a good dual stat would be, I think it's the Guardian, right? Where it's a purple and green. So I can put that stat into my main stat. So I may end up doing that. I may not. Again, I'm going to leave that on the map. And we're gonna keep moving here. We're gonna keep moving. So we have our first shop here. If you look at my gold, I only have 757 gold. There's also another reason why I did that. We'll go back to the shop at the end just to kind of go over that a little bit here. We're gonna continue to go through, and thankfully, none of these enemies have been too bad yet. Right? We've been able to get through okay. We have explosive decoy, another tactics trap, turns you invisible and then attracts nearby enemies. It's not something I usually use. It does have 100% damage to burning oil, which ties into our amulet here, right? It ties into the burning oil that we can get, but it's not something I'm going to take. I'm going to recycle that one. If it were something a little bit or a lot of bit stronger, I would leave it on the map. I'd consider it. But that's not what we're going to do. That's not what we're going to do. So we're going to keep on moving here. And we have ourselves in a similar, I guess it's a little bit of a similar situation here, where the elite is down on the bottom there. We don't know what the effect is. We have our second scroll. But the good news is that we have our 30 kill. We have our 30 kill, and we have the Oven Knight down there too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this ladder. I'm going to throw the trap. And I'm going to see what the effect is. So we have the line. We call that a line elite. So basically what will happen is you can see there's that red line that turns into lightning, sort of. If you obviously you get hit by that line, you're going to take a little bit of damage. The line comes up pretty quickly. So therefore, you got to be a little bit careful. You got to be careful. Similar like what I was saying, when you start to engage that elite, you want to know what the effect is. All right, we got an Inquisitor down here, so I'm gonna come down here. So this path is a little bit dangerous, right? There it is, right? We're gonna take a hit from the Rampager. I'm gonna grab that food. We were at 18% deficit. We had 82%, so I'm gonna grab that food there to cover back up. And now this is excellent synergy, right? So like I was saying, when we run, we burn the ground. Vampire Killer does criticals on burning enemies. So that is immediate synergy. So I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to grab this even if we do not go brutality or tactics. This is going to be helpful. It's going to be a little bit fun for the rest of the biome. So I'm going to take that there. We're going to continue on. And one of the other things too, just like a quick settings check, what I like to do under accessibility settings, in addition to turning on this secret zone visibility, I also like to turn on, where is it? Secrets outline. Add an outline to secrets. By default, it's red. So you saw there's a little bit of a red square. It's just easier, especially when you're running around like crazy. So having a secret pop out will be helpful. You do not need to do that. It's just an option that I like. We get ourselves a Bible here. So Bible is also a pretty good item. I wouldn't take it with tactics. You can see in the top there, it's green and purple. I wouldn't take it with tactics because tactics has generally lower health, would be a good survival weapon. So I don't know. Remember, we have that double survival amulet on the map. So that could be something that we're going to do. But again, we're still in this beginning phase, planning everything out. Like I said, you got your road trip. You're kind of like figuring out where you want to go. That teleportation rune that I just went through, if it's at the end of a corridor in prisoners quarters, I almost called it prison depths, it's going to lead you towards the dilapidated Arboretum path here. So this is always the Arboretum exit. This is from the Bad Seed DLC. If you don't have the DLC, you won't be able to come here. And sometimes in this passageway, right where I was, let me just go back down here. Sometimes in this passageway, you will see food in the floor. Sometimes there's an item around here. Sometimes you'll see challenge rift. So even if I choose to not go in that direction, I do like to go down there just in case. You never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to find. This vine area in the prisoners' quarters always leads to the toxic sewers. So I'm just going here to clear things out. I also haven't chosen a route yet. I don't know which way we're going to go. So part of the build, part of the process of this beginning is to also figure out what colors you want, figure out where you want to go. This is what I meant with the secrets. We'll open up the wall here. We got 50% health. That is an excellent heal. That's an excellent heal. Now, I know I've already cleared everything out here, so there are no more enemies in this area. So Explorer's Instinct is going to pop. I'm going to actually go here. We're going to start to go down the Castlevania stairs, and it should pop right around now. Okay, there it is. Perfect timing. So Explorer's Instinct is going to show the rest of the map, and now we can make a decision. We can make ourselves a decision. So I'm going to hit this shop here. And part of the reason that I do not have gold is this is not an option. And one of the things that I recommend is not buying something in this first shop unless you desperately need something. Like, let's say you take stuff out of the tubes, you're not having a great run. You think the run might end, you have 7,000 gold from your gold reserves and other stuff. Maybe you want to grab something here. The items, I think they start at like 40. Yeah, so depending on the sell value, the purchase value, I should say, you can see here every item has a different value. It's not all the same thing. Every item isn't 5,000. Every item isn't 4,700. So generally, I would say don't buy something here, right? Again, if you're in desperate times and you need something, or if you have like a specific thing in mind, maybe you want to take a face flask, or you do want to take a diverse deck, and that's going to be part of your build that you take from this beginning phase of the run into the early phase. Who knows? So here's what I'm going to do. So what I've decided to do is I am going to take Brutality. The Vampire Killer is doing us some good work. Brutality also in general, as a stat, it will allow us to open up the run in ways that are both ranged and or melee. There's a decent spread of melee and ranged items within the brutality pool. So that's the choice I made. You can see there I grabbed both of those stats. I'm going to recycle this Barnacle. We're not going tactics, so it's not necessary. What I do like to do, and what I do recommend for folks who are still, early in the game, or, trying to get your economy going or anything, make sure that you recycle the things on the map that you don't want. Make sure you recycle food you're not going to have. Kill all the enemies if you can. If you are at a deficit with health and there's 3 enemies left and you want to get out of here to use the health fountain, then don't kill them. All right, it doesn't matter. So like I had mentioned, here's an option for the amulet. So if you see there, I have 3 brutality, 3 survival. It's just a uncoded, or it's a coded mechanic in the game that's not really supposed to be there. But if you leave this biome with 313, 331, whatever it is, 2 in your main and then 2 in a opposite stat from an amulet, there's a good chance for that dual scroll. But I'm not going to do that because the burning oil that we have here is good. The fact that I can roll through enemies and then get crits with the Vampire Killer is great. When an enemy dies with the Vampire Killer, you can see there, enemies killed by this weapon will burn the ground under them. So that's pretty sweet. So I'm going to keep that. And now let's think about our route. So again, the beginning phase of the game here. So we made our plan. We have our color. We have a decent build that's going to take us from this beginning part of the game. And then here, this is up to preference. You can sit here and plan out your whole run. I'm going to go to Toxic Sewers and then Corrupted Prison and then Ancient Sewer. Like, you can do this whole thing if there's a particular path, right? As long as you've been to one of these biomes and have taken the exit, it will show up. So you can see here, in Forgotten Sepulcher, I have taken the Clockroom exit. I have taken the Guardian's Haven exit. So any pathing that you've already taken will show up here. So you can figure out which way you want to go. So what I'm going to do, so Toxic Sewers has a lot of little a lot of poison around. I'm not going to go Arboretum. It is incentivized, so this would be a good idea to get extra cells if you're trying to get more, more unlocks, extra money if you are trying to get better economy so you can buy more things. And then we have Promenade Condemned. I'm not going to go Castle Outskirts. It's a long biome. It's not one of my favorites. I've gone to it a couple times recently too. So for me, we're going to go basic routing here. So it's between Promenade and between Toxic Sewers. I think what I would like to do, and just kind of planning ahead, I don't love Prison Depths. So what I'd like to do here, let's go Toxic Sewers. And then from there, we'll take the extra biome to Corrupted Prison. So that's the route that I want to take here. So we're going to find that teleporter. We're going to go into the Toxic Sewers. And then how long into the video? And then like 23 minutes into the video, we're going into our first biome. So again, this is going to be giant. This is going to be a absolutely huge video. Not huge as in impact, right? Not huge as in viewership, but just huge as in time. It's going to be super long. Doc's Balatro videos, or Balatro, however you pronounce it, are like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever. It's wild. So we're going to come in here. Again, every kill door, every time door, we're going to have some money. We're going to have some cells. Again, you're trying to unlock stuff. We get a good jump start on the economy here. And then taking a look at what's in here, right? So throwable objects is off color. It is not a brutality item, but no matter what color you take it with, it will stun an enemy. So it's not for the damage, it's for the stun effect. That might be quite good. Here, we will have 2 additional brutality stats. So what we would do is we would go from 412 to 511. Our health would be lower, we'd have more brutality, but then I would lose this burn as you run. I would gain burn as you smash the ground, but I would prefer to have the run. We have Maria's Cat, which is something we could take to replace our double crossbow-matic. It's a purple item. We're not going purple. We're going red here. So that's something to consider. So what I would like to do, I'm actually going to take these throwable objects. Again, they're off color. It is not a brutality item, but I can use that stun to stun enemies, run by them, hit them with the vampire killer. I know from experience, Promenade has a lot of tricky enemies between the runners, the failed experiments, which we'll see. The protectors are going to be protecting enemies. There's also a lot of bats, and throwables will track a little bit. Again, these are things that I know from experience. So I think that this is going to be a good match. I think this will be a good match for the biome here. We could re-roll some things. Right? We could re-roll some things, maybe take open wounds as a mutation, get extra damage to bleeding, extra whatever it might be here. For this beginning, as we're leaving this beginning phase of the game, I generally don't re-roll affixes unless there's something I don't want. If there's biters on this thing, if there's some sort of whatever it might be that I don't want for the build, I'd re-roll it. Here, we're going to save our money. And then now we choose our first mutation. We're going to be able to pick 3 mutations, 1 for each of the next 2 levels, this level and the next 2 levels that we go through. There are a lot of options here, so I'm not going to go through all of these. Obviously, there are so many different things that we can do. So what I'll do is, because we're on brutality, because we have a melee weapon, I'm going to focus on those. So the options we have here, we have combo, which is going to increase the damage with every melee hit that I have. We have Initiative, which will do extra melee damage for that first hit. Killer Instinct to reduce skill cooldown. So this is I like this one. There's no need to take this now. There's no need. We're not using our skills. Like I mentioned, double crossbow-matic is off color. Haven't really been using phaser. It does have a short cooldown, but it's not necessary here. Like I mentioned, we could take open wounds here. We have both the vampire killer and the phaser do extra damage to bleeding. So that might be an option. Just trying to figure out, all right, do we want DPS? Do we want something else? Do we want safety? We're melee. We can slow enemies down with every attack. I find this better to be more applicable with faster weapons. As you can see, vampire killer is super slow compared to that. It's a very slow brutality weapon. So I wouldn't take that here. Other things, Predator, very strong. Every time we kill an enemy, we'll be invisible for 1.2 seconds. I don't know if the burn is going to break my invisibility. I'm not positive about that, so I'm not going to take this. I would hate to take this. Always burn as we're running, and then when we kill an enemy, we become invisible, and then we become visible because the fire does some damage. So I don't think that's the move. We could also take Vengeance. This is a great mutation for beginners, and it's a great mutation in general. If you get hit, you get extra DPS for 8 seconds, and then you have damage reduction for 3 seconds. So that's also an option here. So we do have off-color options too. What I'll do is I'm going to skip the tactics and survival ones. Let's just go to the off-color ones just to sort of look around here. So are any of these ones that I would want? Damn Vigor could be good. It will bring you back to life if you take any sort of fatal damage, even from a curse. So maybe that's an option here. We have Disengagement, which would help save us if we take a non-curse big hit that would knock us down below 15% health. There are several other things we could do here. No Mercy, which would execute mobs that are under 15% health, so we'd have enemies cleared off the map quicker. We could take YOLO, which would save us one time if we die while not cursed, but this has been, I feel like it gets outclassed with Disengage, so we have a few options here. So what I'm going to do is I want to focus a little bit more on DPS. So I could either do Open Wounds or I could do Combo. Because the Vampire Killer is more of a slower item, getting that first hit, so it would be bleed and then extra damage to bleed. So we're looking at an extra second here, right? And then especially if we hit with that last hit, you know, it's going to be, it'll take a little while, but 60% on a heavy weapon for that synergy, that's pretty chunky. That's actually very good. That's very good. So that's a consideration here, right? The other thing is we could take Combo, where every hit we have is going to do more damage. The percentage is not going to get up to what Open Wounds would be. We can keep the combo going, but at this point, the percentage bonus is low. So we're not going to take this one. I'm going to go with Open Wounds. That's my idea here. So again, even though it's going to be a little bit slow, right? We're going to apply the bleed and then we're going to hit them. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take that one instead as we, oh my God. As we go into Toxic Sewers, I just talked about prom. That is so funny. So ignore everything I just said about going to Promenade. We'll talk about the enemies in the sewer as we get there. Oh, that's so funny. All right. So anyways, forget it. So let's talk about the enemies in the sewers. What do we got? We have bats. So that is still something to consider here with the throwable objects. The throwable objects will, like I said, they will track enemies. So that'll be helpful. Because even though it's off color, because the bats and rats have a relatively low HP, they are going to die at this point from one of those throwable objects. You can see too that the stun period of the throwables is quite long. It's quite long. So that's also going to be very, very helpful. So we'll take that. I'm very glad with my choice there. I have no regrets. My only regret so far is talking about the wrong biome. I generally take prom. I just like that one. So that's where that came from. So apologies there. But yeah, so the throwables, because there are enemies, again, like I was just saying, enemies with lower HP thresholds, throwables is going to be great, and it's also going to slow down the bigger enemies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to get as many of these enemies away from the elite as possible. All right, so I just ended up using my Vampire Killer, which has an arrow affix. So what I was trying to do was trying to get that rat out of the way. When I use my Vampire Killer, you can see a little arrow shooting off to the left that aggroed the elite, and I got a little bit, it took me off by surprise, and what ended up happening is that Buzz Cutter ended up hitting me. So what I should have done is maybe left that elite there, so that way, like I was saying earlier in the first biome, maybe we could get the 60 door. That option's still here. I think Sewers has like 100, it's ridiculous. It's like 110, 120 enemies, something like that. So what I'm hopeful for is between the throwable objects that we have here, between the extra damage that we're getting from bleed for those enemies that do take an extra hit, that might be helpful. So I'm going to come up here again, like we did in Prisoner's Quarters. We have Meat Skewer here. It's interesting. All right, so here it is. We got another 60% to a bleeding target. Is this something I want to consider? I'm not going to use the shield, so what I'm going to do here for now, I'm going to throw out my backpack so we have that option. What I could also do here is let's do this. Let's switch them up a little bit and let's see how the meat skewer performs. So we're not going to get as much damage as the vampire killer because meat skewer has a lower base and critical damage. However, it's a faster item. We're going to get that bleed to proc quicker. So maybe that's an option. Another affix that's quite good on this is the I got hit there. Bummer. Is the and nearby enemies freeze when an enemy dies, so that's helpful. So it's not stun, but you can see there that elite just got frozen, so that might also be helpful. Here. I don't want this amulet. There's an extra jump already on the map from the amulet that we got over here. That one does have a brutality scroll on it, so I don't want survival and tactics here. So I'm gonna recycle that. We're gonna roll. I can see on the map there's a treasure chest or a item room here. I don't want giant killer. I know that already. It's a little bit slow. It's not something I'm interested in for this build. There's no synergy on it, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't want taunt. So we're gonna recycle that there. And then we are going to move on. So at this point, I am comfortable saying that we have made it out of the beginning of the game and we are now in the early game. So there's no questions as far as what we're doing, both in the future and in this point. We're going brutality. That's not going to change. I'm going to get hit. That's not going to change. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this on the map. Panchaku is quite good. It's great with melee. Like I mentioned before, it's quite good with combo. So maybe that's an option. So what I think we're going to do is, even though we have this great synergy here with the burn and the crits from Vampire Killer, another whip sword, I think we're going to move away from it. Another thing to consider here, my health's at 40%. That ain't great. I took a couple of big hits here. So what I'm going to do is I can't reach it. I was hoping I could grab it with my head. I'm going to grab both of these pieces of food. So we have one piece of food that is at 15. Well, they're both at 15%. So that's going to knock us back up to 70. So that's nice little cushion there. You're going to find at least 2 pieces of food in every biome, from enemies or from those secrets in the walls and the floors, like we had talked about with the accessibility options there. And we have a shop. We have a shop here, and there are, or I should say, we have money here. We have money here. So again, we're going to leave the shop here. There's not something in particular that I'm looking for, and in addition, the build here is okay. It's okay. I'm not using a lot of skills. This is mainly, we got throwables and we have the meat skewer. I could use my phaser for as a skill. Because it's technically a melee skill, what happens is it would apply bleed. So what I could do is I could use my phaser to apply bleed and then instantly get that synergy from the meat skewer. So that is an option. And that's, yeah, I should be doing that more. Because the throwables are really good, did I get hit? I did not take poison damage there. Let's go. Let's go. Because the throwables are so good, because meat skewer is doing pretty well. Like I said, I haven't really been leaning into my skills here. We have Fire Blast. If I wanted to pivot, like I had mentioned earlier, Brutality has both melee and ranged items. If I wanted to pivot this way, I could, but it's not something I'm interested in. I do want to stay at this point in the build, since we're in the early game now. Like I said, I know we're going at least for the next couple biomes. I'm not going to take this. I'm going to recycle it. I'm going to use the money, possibly in that shop. We might end up buying something. We might not. I would love to find another brutality skill. So again, the double crossbow-matic is not doing us any favors. It might be doing like a tiny little bit of chip damage or something, but it's not enough to keep it. We only have 2 stats in our tactics, and unless you have something, again, like this throwable objects, that is quite good both off color and on color. If you're looking for something, you don't want to take a skill that is off color, that has that is like damage based. So this is great. So we have a legendary here. I'm not going to look at it yet. What do we got? Oh, we have hemorrhage. So this is another consideration if we wanted to take this legendary. I don't think I want it, but I am going to throw it in the backpack here. We're going to take it over a vampire killer. And then we're going to come up here and I'm going to grab this Telluric Shock. This is what I want. I don't want a tactics skill. We have T-Shock now, so that's going to give us a nice spread of AoE. That's really wide. I forgot how wide that was. And there we go. So we also have powerful grenades. So this is something to consider. I'm going to keep phaser for now. I think I might like to pivot over to powerful grenade before we leave, but again, that's to be seen. We're still in this first phase of the beginning part of the biome. And that's it. So we have Explorer's Instinct. So we're done. We're done here. So now it's time to make a decision. What do I want to do? I don't think I'm going to take the Panchaku. This is a fan favorite. Like I said, it's a very good weapon, but I like this meat skewer. It already has synergy on it. I don't need to spend money on a what do you call it? I don't need to spend money on a reroll there to get synergy. Meat skewer already has it, so we're gonna bounce with that. We're gonna roll as I literally roll, and let's take a look at this amulet. So the burn is good, obviously. Extra bonus to burning oil is great. There's no burning synergy here. And like I mentioned, an extra jump in midair is a very powerful affix, in my opinion. Having the extra maneuverability, being able to do this in challenge rifts is super sick. So I'm going to take this over the amulet that we had, the very good amulet that we had from Prisoner's Quarters. Take a quick peek here. What was my option? There was a powerful grenade over here. Do I want to take this over the phaser? I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to keep the phaser as a utility. I'm going to keep the Telluric Shock as a good way to do damage to enemies that are spread out. And then we're going to take a quick peek in this shop here. So again, skills aren't bad. Skills aren't bad. Telluric Shock, does it have any synergy? It does not. Doesn't have any synergy for bleeding, but that's okay. So is there anything here that I want? So we have Sinew Slicer, which does bleeding. This is a consideration. This is a consideration where we could take this to get extra bleed on the enemies quicker. That's an option. It would open up the possibility to take the support mutation because that gives you extra damage when you're near a trap. So that's something. I don't want vampirism here. I don't want grappling hook. Do I want to take this trap? We're going into Corrupted Prison next. It is not cursed, which is fantastic. So we're coming here next. There's a lot of enemies on the ground. There's the birds. Maybe that's an option. Maybe that's an option. I think I would prefer this over the phaser. So let's do this now. And then we still have a couple of bucks here. So I'm just going to take a quick peek. Double damage Maria's cat with bonus to bleeding. That's actually very sick. I'm not going to take it. Double damage flamethrower turret that spreads oil and generates a toxic cloud around the trap. So with this, you're getting double damage, you're getting poison synergy, and you're getting burning oil synergy. That's very good. That's very good, right? But is it worth the extra damage you're going to take? Is it worth trading out the Sinew Slicer that I just bought? I don't think it is. I'm going to roll one more time here. As we re-roll, there's nothing here that I'd like. You can see here the cost is going up with every reroll. 67, right? I think this is actually this is a very good Sinew Slicer. I'm not going to take it. It's a very good cleaver. Again, it's something that also does bleeding damage. If I'd seen this and the Sinew Slicer I just bought at the same time, I'd pick this up. But we also need to think about our economy. Again, are we going to need to switch an item out? Are we going to need something else? Am I going to need a health pot? So even though, I'll take another peek here just to sort of think about stuff for the future. It's not really anything I'm interested in. Even though that cleaver, for me, is a better take, I am not going to take it, obviously, right? I shouldn't say obviously, that's really rude. Because I had spent the $4,700 on the Sinew Slicer, if I were to buy that cleaver, it would technically have cost me 10,000 gold, which is a lot. Again, early game. As we continue through, hopefully our gold is going to be higher. Usually I finish a run, I don't know, 30, 40, 50k, so we'll have plenty as we're going into the end game there. But for now, we're good. I decided not to take that. That would have brought us down to 6,000. One of the things I want to do is I do want to roll one of these affixes here. So if I did buy that cleaver and then I use this, we'd be down to 4,600 or 4,200 or whatever it would end up being. I'm re-rolling this. The plus 10 damage when you're near it is quite good. Biters, not quite good. So I don't want biters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll here. every reroll gets more expensive. So you can see we're at 1440. Now it's 2340. So this is cool. Generates toxic cloud. Victims freeze nearby enemies, which is the same thing that the meat skewer has here. Generates a toxic cloud around the trap, where this does extra damage to poison target. We're not worried about any synergy here from throwables. These are just here for the stun. I have the option to throw this hemorrhage into my kit here, right? The legendary items, you can see it's gold. It says 7L. That L means it's legendary. The crown affix at the top. Victim of bleeding spreads it to other enemies nearby. Every legendary hemorrhage you see is going to have that crown. That's never going to change. Everything below the word colorless, 20% damage, cannot be interrupted, victims burn. Those can be rolled. So I'm going to roll this once just to show. It's going to keep us above 10,000 bucks here. So you can see all that stuff changed, and now we have plus 80% to a poison target. So here's an inflection point, right? So the throwable objects has been quite good for us. Will the hemorrhage be better? We have, it'll proc bleed, which will help with the bonus to damage to bleed. It will get open wounds moving quicker. It synergizes here with the sinew slicer. We have 80% to a poisoned target, which this does critical damage on, and our sinew slicer generates a toxic cloud around the trap. So the synergy here is very good. This is in my opinion, this is remarkable synergy. So early on. Not going to reroll anything else. We're going to go over to our mutations like we had talked about. I'm going to stretch out just a little bit more here. So some of the other off-color mutations you could take, gastronomy is something I would recommend. Your food, this always stays the same. Your food will always be plus 65% extra. So I forget what the actual math is. What is it? If it's 15%, it bumps you up to like 40 something or 30 something. I forget what it is. But basically, no matter what color you have, no matter how many stats you have in that color, this is always going to be plus 65%. So if you're a little bit hurting for health, like I mentioned, you're going to get at least 2 pieces of food per biome. That's going to bump your healing plus 130%, right? If you get 65 for each, so that might be a good option here. I just wanted to mention that here. What I'm going to do, like I had said, melee is quite good for faster weapons. So you can see here it'd be 1, 2, 3. I'm already going to proc 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we're going to proc slow very quickly. So that's my move here. That's my move. We're gonna grab melee, and then we are going to head into Corrupted Prison. So Corrupted Prison is an optional biome that is between the first main biome and the second. So if we take a peek at this map here, and that's the other thing too. So when you go into your map, this is normally what you're going to see. The bottom, so for PlayStation, it's a square. Other consoles or computer, it's a computer. Other consoles or PC is going to have a different item or a different legend down there. But you press this is how you get to that map screen. So Prison Depths and Corrupted Prison, these are the optional biomes that are between the first tier of biomes here and the second. These, you do not have to go to these. And you can see here, Prison Depths, you can look at the blue path to the left there. Promenade, you can see the blue goes to Prison Depths, and Arboretum right there. You can see that Toxic Sewers and Castle Outskirts go to Corrupted Prison. So you have some options here. So 2 of the first biomes will go to Prison Depths, 2 will go to Corrupted Prison. Arboretum and Castle Outskirts are DLC. Another quick little thing, you can tell which biomes are DLC by looking at the frames. So the Arboretum, see how there's the flowers and the and the grass, the plants or whatever. This is bad seed. You can see here, morass is bad seed, nest is bad seed. Castle Outskirts has the gargoyles. This is Return of Castlevania, Dracula's Castle, Defiled Necropolis, and then over here we got Dracula's Castle. You can see on the right, Master's Keep. So that's how you can tell the DLCs. Guardian's Haven and Cavern are both not Return to Giant, Rise of the Giant. So that's something to consider. So normal biomes just have this sort of, what do you call it? Like a brown, like an ugly. an ugly brown kind of thing. And the DLCs have, you know, that a brown thing that turns yellow as you go. But the DLCs have the extra frames here. So these optional biomes, they all require the spider rune, which is the rune that will allow you to run up walls. You get that from the Slumbering Sanctuary after you go through the whole rune quest. They both start here with the cursed chest. No matter what, there's a cursed chest here. So one of the things that I like to do, if you have the spider rune, you need it to get here, so you will be able to do this. I like to jump up here, hold onto the wall, double jump and roll. This way I can see what is coming up here. So we have a crab here. I'm going to take out, again, like we looked at earlier in the prison depths. Sometimes there's an elite, sometimes there's other stuff. So just taking a peek here. Generally, if there's a long platform after that cursed room, you're likely going to see an enemy on this platform. If it just comes and it drops off, an enemy's usually not going to be here. Same thing with prison depths. If it goes up or down, there's usually not an enemy. So I'm going to come back in here. Again, you can do the same thing to get back in. And the reason why we do that is if we open this cursed chest, is open the right word? If we activate, oh yeah, it is open. That's how old am I? I can't even. I've been speaking English for 1,000 years, and I'm still like, is that the right word? So when we open this cursed chest, we're gonna get some money. We're gonna get a colorless item. This is a double damage rapier. This is very nice. This does not have the plus 60% to bleed on it. However, it is another very fast item that we might be able to get some good melee action on here. And what do we got for synergy? Electrified. We don't have electrified. So we're going to lose a little synergy if we take this, but we are going to get double damage. So this is actually more damage than you would get from the meat skewer. So something to consider. I'm going to grab the scroll here. Obviously, we're going to dump it into our brutality. As you can see here, I didn't mention this on the left, as you see the mutations. Whenever you pick up a scroll, it will show you what the stats will be. So whatever open wounds is now, maybe it's 38 DPS. Maybe the melee is 0.82 or something. This tells you what it's going to be afterwards. So you can see here on the right-hand side, that's what those values are. So we have, so here's something else I'm going to do. So assist mode is also an option for folks. So if you come in here, you're going to get this message. We're going to turn it on. Hey, it's basically like, what does it say? I'm going to sum this up. Yo, Dead Cells is hard, but change it if you want. We want you to have fun. There you go. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that you can change as far as, you know, options for a little bit less, you know, a bigger window for parrying, or you can see the whole map as soon as you get in there, stuff like that. Change trap damage, everything like that. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn on multiple deaths here. And the reason I'm doing this is because this is sort of a long tutorial. I would prefer to not have to scrap the video. You've all seen me die so many times that I don't want to have to be like, oops, I didn't do a thing. So I'm turning that on here just so we have it as we're cursed. You know, you can see the 10 over my head. I have to kill 10 enemies before I can clear the curse. If I take a single hit while I'm cursed, the run's over. So I'm going to turn on accessibility or assist mode here just for this curse, so that way, you know, if something does happen, we can bounce if we need to. So the reason why I jumped through that thing in the ceiling, as we come here, oh, I can't even open the door. Oh, that's interesting. So when I went back through, the door shut on me. So that's it. So normally I jump up through here so that way I can get a peek. I wonder, do I drop a bomb when I roll or something? Something happened where it triggered the door. So I'm actually going to have to go back up here again. You know, again, double jump as you hold onto the wall there. And now we're gonna bounce down here to see what's up. See what's up here. Oh, see, there we go. So I am really glad I turned on assist mode. How about that? How about that? Let's take it from the top. So again, we're gonna double jump up here. I was not paying attention. I was not doing a good job of paying attention at all to this thing. So all right, let's look at the Inquisitor here. I'm going to use my T-Shock. I missed that, unfortunately. And then let's slowly make our way down here. We got a couple enemies here. I'm going to throw the trap and then use the Telluric Shock. Get a little bit of extra damage there. We only have 3 kills left, which is great. I'm going to do this here. And one of the things that I just did I forgot about our throwables because I was focusing on the rapier. I was focusing on the difference between the rapier and the meat skewer. So that also may have affected that curse. And by may have, I mean it did. It totally did. Because throwables, as you can see here, we're still doing great work. The enemies are staying stunned, which is fantastic. I'm going to roll through that. We're going to do this. One of the tricky parts of Corrupted Prison here is you have those protectors. Those are the ones that are in the promenade that I accidentally talked about earlier in the video. That can, like, especially right there, you have an elite that is protected. That's pretty wild. I'm going to leave this food here. It recovers 50% of my health. I'm only at a 31% deficit. So right now, it does not make sense for me to take this. If I take a huge hit and I go below 50%, of course I'm going to come back for it. But right now, I'm not. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that protector out. And now there should not be, let me rephrase that. There's a bug where if you go from Corrupted Prison to Dracula's Castle, there is a 60 door. There shouldn't be, but normally there's no 60 kill door. So if I take a hit before I hit 60 kills or whatever, it doesn't matter here. So I'm going to stun the elite. We're in the box, which is not a bad one. We get ourselves a great kill there. Do I want this? No, I don't. Health-wise, we're looking at 1653. If I grab this, it's going to shift my scroll to 1552. I would do that if it had a better affix. So if these affixes were switched, if the extra jump was on the tactics amulet that I'm wearing now, I'd keep it. But I want that extra jump. I want that extra jump. And especially thinking about, again, going through this early game. Ancient Sewers is an option. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of platforming type things. The extra jump would be helpful there. Ramparts is also an option. We're high up. If we get knocked off a platform, we'll have an extra jump to right ourselves. So we'll see. We'll see. So I am gonna keep that jump, and then we're gonna come down here, and we're almost at the shop. I think we're really close to the shop here. So okay, so that's perfect. So took a big hit there. So we are not below a 50% deficit. Again, 54% health. We're at a 46% deficit. It's close enough. That's going to bump us back up to 100%. The thing to keep, and of course, with Dead Cells, there's so many things to keep track of. This enemy can do this. This enemy can't do that. The birds, which are one of the most dangerous enemies in this level, they can't be stunned. So throwable objects actually does not do anything for them. So we got to be a little bit more careful. And again, the red skull over my head, we're taking double damage from this rapier here. So it's a little bit tough. So something else to consider. I'm going to activate the shop here. I'm going to take a peek here. Queen's Rapier for extra bleed damage might be nice, but we're good. We're good with the rapier here. Just going to take a quick peek. I don't think we're going to buy anything. Again, we're pretty early on. If I wanted to switch to a shield instead of throwable objects, this is a good option. But if we're looking at our build, here, remember we have the hemorrhage in our backpack. So what I might do here is, instead of buying a shield and doing this, let's switch this up. So the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch back to my meat skewer. So why am I doing this? We're going to lose, and you can use your head to get through there as long as you're not cursed. We're going to lose a little bit of synergy, right? We're going to lose 40% extra damage because we're going from double down to just a normal damage plus 60, right? So we're going from 100 down to 0 plus 60. So we're losing 40% extra damage here. The reason I'm going to grab this, if I can grab it, is the hemorrhage is very slow. It's a very, very slow item. You may find yourself, like you can see here, you're going to open up. I don't want to be opened. I don't want to be vulnerable or open to attack when I have a double damage item. So I'm going to leave that rapier there. We might come back to it. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. So I'm going to change the build a little bit. Again, so we don't have a shield. We have a ranged and a melee item. We have a starred enemy, which is going to be a legendary or a scroll fragment. Oh my God. You've got to be kidding me. Oh my God. We are... All right, so hear me out. Holy fucking shit. Okay. The chance that you are going to see one of these is so rare that I don't, unless, use the seed, 932585. The chance of you seeing this in a run is so minuscule. It's like a 0.02%. It's out of control. I think this is the second time I've gotten one during a run that I've recorded for the video. This is insane. So our economy right now, we're going up to 88,000. We're done. We're done. This is perfect. We're done for the whole run. So I can re-roll. I can buy things and put it in my backpack. I can do whatever I want for the rest of this run. I'm good. I'm good. I could buy hemorrhage and we could do double. We could do double hemorrhage. We could do anything. You can hear how excited I am. So that is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. You want the seed? Check it out. We're good, right? We are, whatever it is, 98 something. I'm not even looking. 932-585. Tell all your friends. My God, that was unexpected. Unexpected. I can't believe we did that. I can't believe we did that. That is fantastic. Unbelievable. I don't even know what I was talking about. What are we even doing here? Do we even need to finish this? Do I even need to talk? Should I just put on some music? If you guys want to like Deftones or something, we'll just change it up. I won't say a word, and we can just bask in the insane luck that we have here. Is that what we're doing? No, we'll continue on here. So let's oh my God, I gotta focus. That was out of control. So let's think back to this hemorrhage, right? So we get criticals on bleeding. Bleeding propagates when we hit it. We get criticals on bleed. So I'll throw our sinew slicer down, and then I'll throw this out, and look at that. Boom, we get ourselves some nice crits. The hemorrhage also stuns. The hemorrhage also stuns enemies a little bit. So that'll, like you may have noticed, when I hit the bird with it, it didn't really do anything. So hemorrhage also stuns enemies, which is fantastic. So that's another thing to consider. Like we said, there's so many things that so many variables. Like I said, this enemy does that. That enemy doesn't do this. The birds are not susceptible to stun. So when I hit them with the hemorrhage, it didn't stun them, but it did do bleed, did do a crit. We get a free key as long as we kill every enemy in the biome. One of them will drop a key. I don't need any of this. I'm just going to recycle this. I am not interested in changing my build. I'm actually going to recycle these throwable objects. I don't need to. I could keep it in my backpack just in case, but for me, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there, so that's not something I'm going to do. We're going to take another look here at our map. So we could go to Ramparts. We have incentivized biome where we're going to get whatever, more cells, more money. We don't need the more money, right? We could go to Dracula's Castle, which I don't want to do. And we could go to Ancient Sewers, which is going to lock us into Conjunctivius. So this is the end phase of the early game. So as you start to think about this, it's like, all right, well, knowing which biomes have which boss. So if we go to Ramparts, you can see there, we can hit up Black Bridge, we can hit up the Insufferable Crypt, so we have Concierge or Conjunctivius. If we go to Ossuary, which is not an option here, right? So actually, let's just do the ones that we have here. If we go to Ancient Sewers, we're only able to go to Conjunctivius. And then if we go to Dracula's Castle, we can do Death or Concierge. So we have some options here. Prison Depths, same thing. Ossuary brings you to Death or Concierge. And then, what else is it? Ancient Sewers, again, only Conjunct, and then Morass is only Mama Tick. So it's worth noting here that Prison Depths is the only, if you take an optional biome, if you want to go to Morass of the Banished, Prison Depths is the only one that'll get you there. So what I'm going to do as I'm thinking about wrapping up this first phase of the game, I really like Hemorrhage. I think it's great. We have that extra damage from the, what do you call it? It'll proc bleed, so that way we have extra damage from Meat Skewer. So that's good because I would like to fight Concierge here. I do not want to fight Conjunct with this build. I prefer to fight Concierge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find our Ramparts exit. I think it's actually in this door here. Yep, I think it's this door here. And then we are going to head into the Ramparts. So one of the things, again, as we're starting to come towards the end of this first phase, now this is where boss preference and additionally routing, right? So coming off of Concierge, where do we want to go? Do we want to go Stilt Village, Slumbering Sanctuary? What else we got? We got Shrines. Same thing if you go to, Conjunctivius, do we want to go Sanctuary or Graveyard? So starting to, as we're coming out of this beginning, I should say early game towards the mid game, maybe just thinking a little bit about that. So my choice was for the boss. This is a really good build for Concierge. We'll throw down the trap. we'll start chucking our axes, and when he comes close, we'll do a little bit of this, and that'll be that'll be good. I don't think I'm going to re-roll anything, right? We already re-rolled. We got poison synergy here. And if you look on the right-hand side where the little skull is for the poison, little green skull has an exclamation point. The oil has an exclamation point. That shows that there's synergy, right? So victims freeze, enemies slow, or victims slow, like anything that has an exclamation point has some kind of synergy to something else in your kit, right? So if you look at the exclamation point on the crown affix here, we got ourselves exclamation point next to the bleed, the blood icon, and then here exclamation's the blood icon. So something to consider. And then now we have our third mutation. So what do I want to do here? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Predator. I'm going to take Predator because we're not burning the ground anymore. We're not burning the ground, which means that there's a good chance that the enemies will not break my invisibility. So I'm going to take that here. We no longer have that amulet. The bank will spawn. So here's the exit to the bank. We're not taking it. I'm just kicking it open. This will spawn at between levels at some point. Doesn't matter which biomes you take. Doesn't matter if we go whatever. Stilt, graveyard. You could, if the bank is scheduled to show up after this tier of biomes, doesn't matter which one you take. It's always going to pop up. I prefer to take bank late game. The enemy scaling is better. Early bank is miserable. I don't recommend it. Bank is a fun biome. It's huge. There's the opportunity to get a higher level item from a shop that may be mimicked, which will bump the item up too. So if you have like this meat skewer 6, if I got mimicked, it would be a meat skewer 8. It is a consideration, but not here. It's not something that I'd like to do. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue with our plan here and get through Ramparts. Personally, Ramparts is one of my favorite biomes. I've always loved this thing. I know I've talked about this before. I love the sunset. I love the colors. I love the fact that you can go to Concierge or Conjunctivia. So there's nice options here. So it basically, let me just get rid of this guy here. We'll take another look at the map. You have the option to go to Concierge or Conjunct. So every biome is open. So if we go, depending on where you want to go, you can pick one. If you say, I want to go to Graveyard, go to Ramparts, then go to Conjunct, and then you can hit Graveyard. If you want to go Fractured Shrines, you go Ramparts to Concierge. You hit Fractured Shrines, right? So you have the entire map is open to you. So that's another reason why I love Ramparts. It's another thing to consider. It's another thing to consider too. So again, if we're going to Dracula's Castle here, you can go to Death, you can go to Concierge. If you go to Death, it opens up Stilt Village, Slumbering Sanctuary, Graveyard. If you go to Black Bridge, it opens up those two plus Fractured Shrine. So even if you go to Dracula's Castle, either one of these biomes will open up the whole thing. And actually, Ossuary opens up the whole thing too. And then, so basically, Ancient Sewers and Morass are the only two biomes on this tier here that aren't going to open up any path for the rest of the game. So again, that's a consideration to have as you're moving out of early game into mid game. So I think I mentioned this at the very beginning, but for me, mid game starts at the end of the first boss. That is the main inflection point for me, where I'm like, okay, where do I want to go? What boss do I want to fight next? Do I want to take this from we get double elites here. We got our nice stun, so you got to watch out. These guys are quick. You got to watch out. They're quick. But we get a little bit of extra stun there from the hemorrhage. I'm not going to take this. Again, it's the same stat spread as what we have, except that one, what do you call it? It has does not have the jump. So, hemorrhage here. Look at this. Little bit of stun, a little bit of bleed. You can see the red circle around the enemy is the bleed propagation. So anything in that circle, I'll call it out again here if I can find a single enemy that'll be easy to track. I'm not going to do that elite. But let's see here. Can I get it off before? There we go. So you see that big splash there is the bleed propagation. And that bleed propagation actually aggroed the elite. But look at this. We're talking about stun. Oh my god, those things are coming right through the ceiling. Come on, man. Come on, bro. That's not cool. The hemorrhage is stunning. So I like to use hemorrhage with elites. You can basically stun lock them until Kingdom Come, whatever, right? Till the lights come on. You got to come home. So that's really good. It works with bosses too. Again, Concierge, I think he's going to take some nice stun damage here. But of course, it's a melee, it's a ranged item And all of our mutations are for melee builds, right? So open wounds, melee, predator, all of those are not for range. So that's another thing to consider here. This is similar to what we encountered in Corrupted Prison. We could change this out. We could get rid of the survival stat for the tactics stat. But again, what are we going? We're going to go from like 1844 to like 17 something, right? 1732. So both have jump. The other, I don't know, downward smash attacks, burn the ground's good. Projectile, what do you call it? The projectile damage reduction is good, but I'm gonna keep the green one, just because it gives you just a little bit, just a tiny bit more health. That's it. And now that I'm reflecting, we get a chest. No, we don't have a chest. We got two. I think this is the food shop. Yeah. So 2 boss cell door, always food shop. And that's another thing to consider too for routing, is knowing which biomes have food shops, which ones don't. There's a biomes map that I'll actually link. I don't want this here. There's a biomes map that I will link in the description, so that way you can look and see which biomes have a food shop, which don't. And that's another consideration for routing. That's another consideration for routing, because this tier of biomes here do not have food shops. There's no food shops here. There used to be one in Cavern, there isn't, but there is one in Stilt Village. There is one in Graveyard. There is one in Fractured Shrines. On this tier here, there's also no food shops on the first tier, but here there's a food shop in Ramparts, Ossuary, Morass. I don't think there's one in Dracula's Castle, and there is one in the back too. So if you're going here and you need food, Ancient Sewers might not be the right move. Might not be the right move for you. I'm not. That's up to you. Again, so we're going to take our brutality scroll here, and now trying to think about how I would like to proceed. So in this area, you can see there's a lot of enemies. We got ourselves a lot of enemies popping through here. So instead of using Hemorrhage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Predator, so that way I can kind of like sneak around. You can see here we're up to a 1.5 seconds, which is a lot. 1.5 seconds of extra invisibility. I'm going to throw the trap down here. The poison's going to take these birds out. I don't need to worry about killing them, so that's like a nice little This looks like that Slash is having a bad day. So I don't have to think about that. So we'll throw that down there, get a little bit of help there, and then that's it. So we got lucky with that Slasher. We got ourselves an extra. He wasn't lucky, but we got lucky with that. Get an extra kill. And now for the remainder of this level, and the other thing too. So if we're talking about melee, it does slow the enemy, which can change their attack pattern. So if it's not actually getting you through that enemy in the first, like that there, you could see the sweepers kind of like push was a little bit delayed. If it doesn't get you through that first, like if you don't get a kill from that first sort of sweep with the meat skewer there, enemy patterns are going to be slowed down. So you gotta watch out. You gotta watch out for those. And now we got ourselves another chest. So there's an opportunity for something new. We have Tentacle. This is not something I want to put in the build. It's going to change things too much. It's a cool, it's a cool item. You can use it to suck yourself to walls and stuff, but it's not something that I want for this build. So I'm going to recycle it. We don't need the money. We are already at $100,000. We are at $100,000 thanks to that Philosopher's Stone. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's so unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's great. It's great. So I'm going to recycle everything anyways, even though we definitely do not need to do this. But we're gonna pretend, for at least as we're clearing biomes, let's pretend like we don't have that, right? So we'll continue to recycle things. As stuff comes up that I might want, we'll leave it on the map like we were doing before, and then kind of take it from there. Here we get lucky again. So this is a challenge rift. We're going to have a chance to get an extra scroll and a different amulet. This is another area. We'll take our health scroll here. This is another area where that extra jump is going to be coming in. It's going to be helpful. But I'm going to grab this jewel while we're talking here. I'm at 48 kills. There's a chance that I could hit this challenge rift and I might take a hit. So that way I would lose my kill streak, which would then keep me from getting into that 60 door. So at this time, I am not going to take the challenge rift. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hopefully get myself another 12 kills, right? Is that what we're looking at? Another 9 kills at this point. Hopefully going to get all these kills down. And then you probably just heard me gasp there. Try to get another 7 kills. And once I have that 60, I'm going to take I'm going to take that challenge rift. Sometimes I like to wait until the very, very, very end before I take a rift, but I'm not going to do that here because I want that extra scroll for the biome. I don't know what else, or I should say, we don't know what else we're going to find here. We don't know who's coming up. We don't know what elites we have. So having that extra scroll now could be helpful. Might be helpful, right? Coming into a shop here, we will come back to this. This might be a good time to switch things out for our build. It may be a good time to wait. There it is. I was like, don't even tell me I didn't activate. I didn't activate the challenge rift. If you were to walk over that, so like you noticed, there was the little secret in the ground there. If you were to walk over that and not activate it, you're not going to know where it is. So always, even if you're not going to take it, always make sure you pop that challenge rift open when you go over. Okay. There's no extra jump on this. So if this did have an extra jump, let's take a look at my HP. We got 3138 up to 3587. It's not a huge jump, pardon the pun. But if it was a bigger increase in health or had a jump, I would grab it. But since it does not have a jump, I don't want it. Let's talk about a mistake. I miscounted my kills. I only have 58. So we're at a point where I may lose my kill streak. Again, I miscounted. So can I get through? Now the pressure's on. Can I get through this without taking a hit? I don't know. So actually, here we go. As we do, this is a good learning. This is a good inflection point to say, all right, why should I not go into a challenge rift when I have 58 kills? Why should I not do this early if I still have the possibility for a 60? You could have taken a hit. I'm fine. We're good. But in the in the event that I took a hit, I would lose out on the possibility of more cells, which I don't need. There's nothing to unlock. This is a fully complete save file. But if you're trying to unlock stuff, you might lose out on some cells, right? You may lose if your economy is low, if you needed to buy a couple things prior to... I'm going to stun this with the throwing axe here, or the hemorrhage. I'm going to get him one more time with the hemorrhage here. We'll call it a day. If your economy is a little bit low, right? If you need some extra cash because you did have to buy something in toxic sewers or whatever, morass or wherever you went, if you did need to buy some extra stuff, maybe it's worth making sure it's always, but making sure that you get that 60 kill, get a little bit of extra money, a little bit of extra cells, and the opportunity for higher level gear. So whenever you can. So like I mentioned, there's also time doors, right? It's, they're various, and we got ourselves a big heal too. That's beautiful. Various times for certain biomes. So every biome doesn't have a time door. Prisoner's Quarters, every biome will have a 2-minute door. Doesn't matter if you go to morass, doesn't matter if you go to toxic sewers. There's always a 2-minute door there. So you could think about that. But personally, I feel like doing fuller clears, not worrying about having to rush at all, making sure that you're killing more enemies, making sure that you're building that economy, maybe finding extra drops, getting extra whatever it might be. Maybe an enemy has a piece of food in it, who knows. And now we're pretty solid here. So we're almost done with Ramparts, which is great. We have 2 heals on the map. I have a strategy for that I would normally do. I'm not going to do it because I do not need the money, but this is something I would recommend once we get there, because we have a large food and we have a small food. But we have Explorer's Instinct, so we can see here there's only, what are we looking at, like 10 more enemies. This should be fairly quick, especially with Predator. Just kind of giving us a little bit of wiggle room there, right? So I can kill one of these things, hopefully, right? We'll kill this. Inquisitor gets frozen, doesn't know where I am. We'll pop him. Use the Toxic Cloud here to take out those birds. We will kill that sweeper, grab our scroll fragment. I forget how many scroll fragments are in Ramparts, but obviously we get them all. Every scroll, every fragment, do not leave any of those behind. Kill these last 2 enemies. Oh, there's one more over here. And then we're going to bounce. We're going to bounce to Concierge like we'd originally discussed. So let's look at our health. So we have 82%. We're at an 18% deficit. So we have 2 options here, right? Obviously, we're going to want to take one of the food. Do we want to take the large food? Do we want to take the small food? So If we take the large food, we are going to be wasting 30, am I doing this right? 38%. We're going to be wasting 38% of that heal. If we take the small food, it's not going to top us off, but it's going to bring us to 87%. So why would I not? Why would I not take the large heal? So if we're looking here, again, I don't need this. We got super lucky with the, what do you call it? With the Philosopher's Stone. Sell value on the large food is $600, and I think the sell value on the small food is $240. We're gonna find that out. Where is it? It's over here. I'm fairly certain that the small food is either 200 or 240 or 300 or something like that. So this is such a minor optimization. It's 300. It's a minor optimization. I just did the backwards thing, man. Oh my God. So what you should have done there is you should have taken the small food and recycled the big one. Tell me you don't do much live commentary without telling me that you don't do much live commentary. How's that, right? How's that? It's so funny. This 3-cell door is always going to be to conjunct. So if you want to take that, you're going to go there. But otherwise, we're going to go all the way down here, down this long drop to Black Bridge, which is the Concierge. Just taking a quick peek here. Do we miss something? Yeah, we get a gem over there. We could grab that. I would recommend you grab it if you want, and then we're going to leave. So we have our 60. We are not going to come anywhere near the next time door. There's a 15-minute time door after Concierge. We're going to pop in here again, grab our gold, grab our cells. Is there anything we want here? The answer is no. These are off-color items that are not going to help us. They're DPS, damage-based. We could take this for more health, right? So we're at 3762. That would bump us up to 5631. But we're losing that extra scroll of damage. So if I come here, let's just take a look at Meat Skewer, right? The critical on that is 4815. If I come here, the critical is 5538. So we're looking at, it's not a huge difference. It's like an extra 5 or 600? It's like a 700 point damage. But if you were to factor that out, that's like an extra, I don't know what the math is. Maybe it's an extra 15, 20%, whatever, 15%, whatever it is. So it's not worth the health, not worth the health. So we're going to keep what we have. We're going to come through here. Again, I really like the synergy and stuff that we have here, so I'm going to keep this here. And now here's our next point. So we're almost done with this early game phase. We're going into our first boss, and the question is, do we want to keep the mutations that we have? These mutations have been working out very well for us in these biomes, right? The open wounds, the extra bleed synergy, the melee slowing enemies down, the predator making us invisible. It's not going to, the open wounds will help for Concierge. Melee will help for Concierge, or it may help asterisk, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're not killing an enemy after that first pass with the Meat Skewer, their attacks are going to be slowed down, right? They're going to be slowed down. So maybe Concierge's patterns are going to be a little bit off. Maybe I'll take a hit. Maybe I will lose that legendary if I do that, since you get a legendary if you flawless a boss. I don't know. It's something to consider. Predator is going to do nothing for us. Predator is going to do nothing for us in this fight here, right? So what I would like to do is think about, and one of the other things that I do here too, sometimes I just don't reroll my mutations. So if this was just a normal run, I'm just messing around, I'm just kind of flying through things, I would not reroll my mutations. I would save the $1,000 that it's going to cost me here to reroll. I'd save the money. I just roll through a Concierge because I'd be like, okay, open wounds, melee, predator, that's going to be good in the next biome wherever we end up. So I'm going to take those. I'm going to keep those. I'm going to save the money. But if you have a surplus of money, not necessarily 108,310, but if you have a surplus, you got 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is at this point, maybe you want to reroll for something that's better for the boss. So that is what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do here, the first item I'm going to take, I'm going to grab support. Again, this is an off-color mutation. Support is very good to take even if you're running brutality, even if you're running survival. If you're near a trap, it's going to give you 36% extra damage to everything. So I'm going to, when we throw this down here, where's my trap here? So you can see that little lightning bolt. As long as that bolt is there, right? So we're looking at this amount of distance here. As long as that little lightning is there, that tether is telling you when support is active. So, and I think, let me see if it's any different on, yeah, so you look at this range. That can't be right. There's no way that's right. Is there another affix on this thing? That is out of control. All right, so I guess support's way better than I thought it was. Holy shit, look at that. Okay, so I'm going to take support. I'm going to take support for extra damage, right? So we're going to get extra physical damage, extra bleeding damage, you know, extra toxic cloud damage from the sinew slicer, all that stuff. So we're going to buff our damage like nuts. I'm going to take open wounds again. It's been working pretty well. I like the extra 60% on the meat skewer. I like knowing that I can proc the critical on hemorrhage if I want to. We're going to stack bleed up so that way it pops quicker, which means more damage, which means it's going to get buff by support. So you can kind of see where we're going here. The third and final mutation I'm going to take combo. Every hit is going to increase the amount of damage I do. Even though meat skewer's DPS is not super high, that combo meter, you can see it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's going to build up very quickly. It's going to build up super quick. So those are my choices. Those are my choices here. And let's see how this fight goes. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the fight. I'm going to start throwing hemorrhage. I want to see his stun time. I want to see how it interrupts his attacks, right? So there we go. So we're starting to get a little bit of extra interruption. I'm going to throw the trap down there. We're going to get some extra damage from support. You can kind of see that little, what do you call it? That little lightning bolt there. I am not going to continue to use the hemorrhage as often. I'm going to use it to get a little bit of damage here, but I want to maximize my bleed from my open wounds. I'm going to want to get some melee attacks in there for combo. So I will, like I'm doing here, I'm going to use it to stun him a little bit, maybe interrupt his patterns in a beneficial way. He should do his aura right about now. There we go. So I can interrupt him a little bit. Oh, we're in a little bit of trouble here. So I'm going to try to stop him. Whew. All right, that was close. When he does that aura, it's a little bit tricky to get out of. So going to continue to stay close to my trap here. Again, I was going to use a little bit more melee, but let's see. He's going to jump here. Maybe after this, I will go through. We'll get an extra couple hits. Be careful of this. Make sure the trap's out. Again, we took support. We're getting a lot of extra damage. That the range on support is great. Using hemorrhage again, but being careful of interrupting Concierge's patterns, right? I'm going to do a T-Shock here. Risky T-Shock. I almost took some damage there, but we got him. We got Concierge. He's going to drop, what is he dropping here? He's dropping three scroll fragments. We're in good shape. I'm going to grab Brutality here, and then here's the point. So we're starting, this is the end of early game. This is the end of early game. We've made it through the beginning, from Prisoner's Quarters into the first biome. We've made it from the first biome through the optional biome, through the biome before the first boss, and the first boss. So it's sort of like, okay, where do we want to go now? What do we want to take? So I don't want to take Vorpan. It's just not something I'm interested in. However, I may want to take Diverse Deck over Telluric Shock. I am going to do that. Telluric Shock's been really good, but Diverse Deck is just incredible. It's incredible. So what am I going to do with Diverse Deck? There's 4 different cards. It's going to take way too long for me to talk about all of them, but one of them is something called Catalyst. So you can see here, melee attacks poison the enemies they hit. So we're going to get extra poison, right? And one of the great things about poison is that it will spread to other nearby enemies. So if you do a bunch of poison, an enemy dies, that poison's going to spread. It's going to spread nearby. So that's really helpful. We got ourselves the kill, flawless kill. So we're going to come in here, always a legendary after a flawless boss fight. And then let's see what we got. This could be anything from the pool. We got another phaser. Gives us more poison. I don't need it. I don't need it. So this is it. So we made it through the early game. Now we're coming into the mid game. So it's like, okay, where do we want to go here? So from Blackbridge, we could go Stilt Village or Fractured Shrines. Both of those are cursed. Or we could go to Slumbering Sanctuary, which is incentivized. So what I'm going to do here, going to bust through here. We are going to change our mutations. So what do I want to do here? So we're going into a cursed biome, which means that the enemies here they do have the potential to curse you. One of them curses you if you kill it. Another one shoots a projectile that curses you. And like we talked about in Corrupted Prison, one hit from a curse, you're done. Runs over. What I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to grab here is I'm going to grab Damn Vigor. This is fantastic. This is one of my favorite. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite mutations. No matter what happens, if you take any fatal damage, if you kill an enemy in 2 seconds, you will come back. It's wonderful. I'm going to grab this here as extra cushion for our curse biome, I'm going to take Predator, which we are familiar with at this point. We got 2 seconds of invisibility, which is great for the curse biome. And then I'm going to take, I have the option here. I could do open wounds. I could do melee. I could do something else. I could take this vengeance mutation that we talked about. I could take ammo if I wanted more axes for my hemorrhage, right? We have a bunch of options here. We get a bunch of different options. I could take no mercy to get those mobs off the map quicker, right? So we get a bunch of options here. But what I'm going to do, I'm gonna grab one of these two. I think melee is going to be more helpful, right? So all of these here are basically preventative at this point. So Damn Vigor is going to prevent a death. Predator is going to prevent engagement, right? It's going to prevent enemies from engaging, and then melee is going to prevent enemies from moving. So we're not really getting any damage boosts off of that. If one of these items had a bonus to slow hemorrhage does, so we can melee an item or melee an enemy, use hemorrhage. So meat skewer, melee an enemy. You get the slow from melee, then use hemorrhage to get 30% to a slow down target. But that's so, even just trying to talk about it, it's so convoluted. It's not worth it. So all three of our mutations are preventative, right? And I feel like going into a curse biome, starting to go into this mid-game phase, which we'll talk about a little bit more. There you go. Predator already doing some good work. We'll just be able to kind of zip around, hopefully not be detected as much. And there it is. So one of the things I'm noticing here is that our meat skewer is starting to fall off. So you may have noticed there, the pirate captains, the bigger enemies, they're not all dying in one fell swoop here. So that is something to consider because, like I mentioned, here's mid game. So this is when you're going to start to consider the next evolution of the build. So what we have here has been great. And when I say next evolution of the build, I'm meaning what do we need to swap out? So not just mutations. Of course, we're going to consider those after every biome. We'll consider those as we continue on, but it's like, what else in the kit do we need to get rid of? Our meat skewer is a level 6. What are we looking at here? So we're at a level 10 because the cursed biomes bring gear level up 1. So this should have been 9. So if we find an item shop, which I think there are a weapon shop, which I don't think we will. I think there's only one skill or weapon shop, but some of the stuff that's going to drop here is going to be of higher gear quality than what we have. So we're going to want to start thinking about getting rid of this meat skewer. I don't need to take any of these things. This will give extra poison and bleed, but we already have that with the sinew slicer. There's no need to take a corrosive cloud there. I could upgrade my trap, but I don't want to. We got, like I said, good synergy, enemies freeze nearby, and it's only 2 items. So we're going up from 501 to 584. It's not huge. It's not huge enough. So I think I'm just going to keep what I have here. I was going to say, unless we find a banger of a cleaver, I'm just going to keep the diverse deck for now. Yeah, I think we're fine. Again, I just wanted to take a quick peek there. It's like, hey, let's just see what's up. Let's see what we got. What's great is that we do have the big food on the map. So if we end up in trouble, if something goes awry, if we take a big hit from one of those, what are they called? Are they buzz cutters? I think those are called buzz cutters. There we go. If we take a big hit from a failed experiment, if we take a big hit from the kamikaze, those are the green bats there. If we take a big hit from something, then there we go. So that is an enemy that will curse you with its projectiles. So I took 5 curse there. We don't want that. We don't want any curse. We don't want any curse. We're in a bit of a predicament here, right? Good news is we have Damn Vigor. We have assist mode on, so if anything were to happen, we'd be okay. I just got another curse, so that's something else that's really tricky about curse biomes is these things, depending on what's flying around the screen, depending on what you got underneath you, like there are all kinds of things that can happen to you. So just being a little bit more wary, a little bit more careful. I'm going to use hemorrhage here to take this elite out. We have a diamond elite, which presents another issue because even if we try to be at range, that thing can hit us, but we're good. This is what I want. So extra brutality scroll, we're going to get more damage. 2 extra jumps, we're getting an extra jump. So instead of 1, now we get 2. That's what I want. That's what I want. So we have a solid amulet. So part of the hunt for amulets as the game goes on, especially again as we're coming into the mid game here, we're going to want to try to find something that has 3 stats on it. If we decide to go to Cavern, which we actually cannot do because of the routing that I took here, right? Cavern's the only one that's not lit. Cavern has 4 stats on an amulet. Everything else is going to have 3. Do I want to take any of these things? I may take Flawless. Let's try Flawless out. Again, because our Meat Skewer is level 6, we're losing out on that plus 60% to bleed. So that is something to think about because we still do have the Sinew Slicer. But I want to take this here to see how it does. How are we doing with enemy kills here? All right, so we're killing enemies in like 2 shots here. So I think what I would like to do is I would like to take this Flawless with us. Let's do it. So I'm going to get rid of the Meat Skewer. Again, you do not need to recycle things as quickly as I am. You keep whatever you want in the backpack. I've seen people play and they make it to the end of 5BC with like a purple item from the starting tubes that that on a brutality build. I mean, personally, it drives me a little nuts, but that's just me. You don't need to do this at all. So here's the food conundrum again. I'm going to pay more attention this time. So we have our small heal, 15%. We have our large heal. We have our large heal for 50%. At this point, I could take that 15% heal, and that would bump us up to 100%. We'd still have the 50% on the map. But what if I take another big hit? What if I take another hit and it brings us down to 40%? After I use that small piece of food, right? So I'm not gonna take it now. We're gonna continue with what we have. We'll revisit at the end of the biome, depending on if I take any damage. If I don't take any damage, then we're straight. I'm just gonna take the small food, sell the big one for $600. Even though we don't need it, and then we'll be good. But again, I'm just gonna wait. I'm not in any rush. And recycling the Meat Skewer and taking the Flawless was clearly the right decision here. Obviously, we're not taking that. It's off color. Clearly the right decision because the base and critical damage of Flawless is higher than Meat Skewer. It does swing slower, but it's getting things done. It's getting things done. So I do not need to worry about enemies not being killed. Look at that. Everything's getting killed in one or two hits. So we are in an excellent shape at this point. I would love to see a little bit more synergy on it. The Victim's Freeze is great, but that doesn't do any damage for us. All it does is it's another preventative thing. It's another crowd control thing, similar to Melee, similar to Predator, whatever it is. It's it's more of a defensive mechanism than a DPS mechanism. So I think what I might do is if I don't find anything else, I'm going to re-roll the Flawless between the biome in the biome passive. We're gonna re-roll it and see what comes up. Looking here, what do we got? So we're almost done. So we have the opportunity to end up getting our 60 kills. I just know from experience this single door here that does not have a boss cell on it. Get out of here. I'm trying to explain something, man. This always has an elite in it, so in the event that we get through there with 59 kills, I'd be able to maybe get 60, but that's not the case. We're fine. We're rolling. We're good. The poison spread there took out the bats, so we're in great shape. Just going to take these last couple enemies out. Again, Predator just doing work. Let's take a peek here. This should be the food shop. Yep, again, Stilt always has a food shop. We don't need any of these, but if you are you're hurting for certain, you need a health potion, you need a big food, small food, whatever it is. On 5BC, this also has the cough syrup in here. If you're hurting, Stilt Village might be the route for you. So we're good. I am going to go in here and fight this elite enemy. This is from the Queen and the Sea DLC, so you may actually not see this if you don't have that DLC, but I wanted to come in here. It always drops a 3-stat amulet. So for me, I'm thinking, all right, can I get a 3 brutality before I leave here? So even though I got my 4 jumps, super helpful, do I want to get a little bit more extra damage? If I could, I would, but unfortunately we did not grab that. I'm going to make my way around. So here's what we're going to do. I didn't take another hit, so that's fantastic. So we're going to take the little food. It's going to push us over. We have a 14% health deficit. The 15% is going to push us over 100%. or I should say to 100%. I'm going to come up here. I got to find, still can be a little bit windy sometimes. I'm going to find this baguette. We're going to recycle it. And now we're going to think about routing. So where do we want to go here? So we have the option. We don't have Cavern, but we have Clock Tower, we have Sepulcher, and we have Undying Shores. I have not taken any DLC yet. I'm going to continue that for the video just because it may be helpful for folks who don't have DLC and you sort of want to get the base game. Small things aside, of course, like I just mentioned, that elite only pops if you have the Queen and the Sea DLC, so you may not see that, but we're going to go either Clock Tower or Forgotten Sepulcher. Similar to Joker planning in Balatro, we're going to take a look at these cards here and say, okay, if I go Clock Tower, it's incentivized, right? Again, do I need more cells? Do I need more money? You can only go to Timekeeper. And from Timekeeper, you can only go to every biome after that. If we go to Forgotten Sepulcher, we can do Timekeeper or Giant. But the option here is if we go Giant, you can't see it on the map. If you go Giant, there's a door to go to the throne room and go directly to Hand of the King. So you can skip any of these biomes. So the other thing is Forgotten, again, just experience, knowing the biomes, knowing the mechanics. Forgotten Sepulcher is jam-packed. This thing is jam-packed with enemies. So Predator, I would not be surprised if something happened, but Predator is going to, especially at 2.8 seconds, out of control. Predator is going to take us all the way through there with little to no aggro from enemies. We're gonna be straight here. So that's my choice. My choice here is I'm gonna take this door. Be careful if you come in here because there's 2 key doors. If you waste a key on the one on the right, that takes you to Undying Shores. If you want to go to Sepulcher, you got to make sure that you go down the door that is after the teleportation room here. So I'm going to do this. There have been a few times where I've gone through that door and I've gone to Undying Shores and I realized I was locked out of where I wanted to go. And I was just like, oh man, oh man, come on. And now so clearly we missed the 26-minute door. Again, time doors, if you get them, great. If you don't worry about it. I'd focus more on the kill doors. The rewards are the same. Like, it's nice to get both if you can, but you're going to get money in each door, you're going to get cells in each door, and you're going to get the same level gear. Considerations, if we were to take open wounds again, this might be helpful. We don't need, again, this will inflict bleed and poison in a cloud. We don't need that. We already have bleed and poison from our sinew slicer, so we're straight there. Not taking this because it's it's off color. We don't need it. I don't think I'm going to use this, but I am going to throw this in the backpack. Queen's Rapier is fun. Again, this is it's a DLC item. And again, I said we weren't going to go to any DLCs, but just some of the items that I take here may be from DLCs since I do have everything unlocked. So what do we got? We got bleed. We get extra damage from, I don't even know how this works. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if the poison stacks have extra damage to bleed or what. I have no idea how this works. I'm going to try to roll bleed or poison on this. Burning, rooting. We don't have either of those. Victim slow, rooting, or rooted. We don't have either of those. So in a normal, I could keep burning through my money. I got 116K here. I'm not going to do that. We're going to pretend like this is a normal run. Maybe I have 20,000 bucks and I'm saying I still might want to upgrade stuff. We're at level 8 here, right? I want to be towards level 10 towards the end of the game if I can. I think Sepulcher is level 10 or 11. I forget. So maybe that's another consideration because as we're going through this part of the mid game, the middle game, whatever I refer to it, this is when we're going to round out the build. We're going to round out the build for the rest of the run. So generally, unless you luck into something in a later biome, maybe you get a great item or a legendary in the 5BC biome, which is after the Hand of the King if you play on 5BC. Maybe that's an option, right? Maybe you say, I'll buy something later. But in general, the end of mid-game for me is as you finish or get to and beat the second boss. So we're wrapping up the second phase here. So I may want to replace my Flawless with something else. I may want to grab a shield instead of the Hemorrhage, right? I haven't been using it too much. It's been nice for stunning elites, but it doesn't proc it doesn't proc Predator, right? And it doesn't proc melee, so that's a consideration. So I'm not going to change anything else, right? Again, I could re-roll here again, but I'm going to say that I don't have the money because generally you and I would not have this much money at this point in the run. For mutations, I'm not going to change anything. So again, considering it's going to be $4,000 because we re-rolled before and after Concierge, right? So the first re-roll is 1,000, second is 2, the third is 4,000, and then every re-roll after that is 8,000. So it starts adding up very, very quickly. Especially if you're someone who re-rolls before and after the first boss, before and after the second boss. So that's 1, 2, 4, 8. That's $15,000, right? So I'm going to keep what I have. It's been working. I really don't need the extra damage at this point. We're doing pretty good. And then we're going to head into the Forgotten Sepulcher. And I'm sure you've noticed there have been a few edits. I'm not doing this at different times. I'm basically recording on my PS5 because it's higher quality. So I'm recording there, recording my audio, and then I'm doing this in chunks because PS5 can only record up to an hour of footage. So I want to make sure. I knew this was going to be long as hell, so I wanted to make sure that we get the whole thing down. And I also have I have a Mac, so OBS on Mac isn't great, but not the point. Not the point here. So. We're coming to Forgotten Sepulcher here, and again, like I said, we got almost 3 seconds of invisibility here from Predator. It's good. It's quite good. It is quite good. So I had mentioned, little to no engagement. Of course, some of these enemies are spread out. I can see the yellow at the map here. This is going to be our first curse chest. There's always a curse chest, and it's usually before that first door. There's like a key. You got to get a key. You got to go through a key door here. I'm going to grab the curse here. And again, remember, we have safety. We have damned vigor. We have predator. So we're in good shape. We're in really good shape here. I like oil grenade, but it doesn't really fit with the build. We don't need the splash damage. I'll toss it here. It's got good splash damage. You can see how much oil. That actually is a lot. That's a lot of oil right there. It's got good splash damage, but I like our trap. I like the extra poison we're doing with Catalyst, which is something I may want to switch out. I might want to switch that out or change the card before we go into our next boss. So let's see what happens. So I'm cursed here, but again, Predator, look at this, we're good. The Inquisitor, gotta watch out for that elite just in case. Thankfully, like before, it is a diamond elite, so it is stuck in its little trap there. So enemies that are stuck in that trap like that cannot teleport to you while they are protected. So I didn't have to worry about that. I knew that wasn't coming anywhere near us. Gonna grab the health scroll. We'll grab our tactics scroll there, and then the goal specifically for Sepulcher, like I mentioned, there's 2 key doors. This one might be it here. Not yet. There are 2 key doors, and we got a bonus curse. So the other thing too, if you go back to that biomes map that I mentioned that I'm gonna link, the chance for getting 2 curses in Sepulcher is 10%. So we got a 10% extra bonus curse here. This is great. So here's my plan. So I mentioned maybe we'll take a shield. I'm going to swap the hemorrhage out for the shield. The hemorrhage has served us really well. It doesn't really fit the build that I want as we're coming out of mid game here. So I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna do something very foolish and stomp down there. I'm gonna hope that Predator. Yeah. So we're in a little bit of trouble here. We should be okay. Yep. So Predator, that was not smart. That's another thing. Don't smash down like this when you're cursed. Don't do it. Don't do it. Again, we got damn vigor. We have assist mode. Doesn't matter. But that's probably something that you're not going to want to do. I'm just excited. We got ourselves the good. We got ourselves the good RNG. We got the Philosopher's Stone. We got 2 curses. I accidentally changed the card that we were using there. What I could have done too, thinking about really granular stuff, changing the card, again, diverse deck is really complicated. It basically has 4 different mechanics on it. You press the item and it changes. So this one here, it lets you tank 1 hit without killing you, right? Or taking any damage. So if I was cursed, I could have changed to this while I was cursed. Might have given me a little bit of extra cushion, but wasn't needed. So I'm going to cycle back to the Catalyst card that we had. And again, for a sort of like a overexplained walkthrough, whatever, using diverse deck is a little bit more complicated, but it's just really good. It's just really, really good. So we already got 2 curses, so we're not getting another one. So that's it. So, oh, this is a bug, by the way. Oh no. There we go. Okay. So there is a bug with Flawless where if you take a hit, it's going to freeze your screen. That has not been patched out, and it will never be patched out. So just be careful. If you get hit with flawless and you think your game is frozen, it hasn't. It's just it'll come back. It's not, your run has not been lost. So we're engaged with this elite here. Again, this was similar to the one that we fought in the prisoners' quarters there. It's got the line elite, so the line came up the bottom. Took good care of it, and you probably saw I parried too. So we're already starting to use that spike shield. Spike shield's it's a great item. We got a starred enemy on the map here. So you can see that little star. It's the crab there. That's the same kind of a starred enemy drop the Philosopher's Stone. So whenever you see a starred enemy, always going to want to kill it. You know, even if you're not doing full clears, you got to go back for that. It could be a scroll fragment, legendary, Philosopher's Stone, you know. So it's always worth killing the starred enemies, just in case. We're going to grab this money here. And then we've made it through the first key door here, so we're just going to start going towards the second. We're looking for that second key. We're looking for the second door. And then we have another, I know I use this word a lot, we have another inflection point to decide where the end of mid-game is taking us and where it's going to bring us to with the, end of mid-game, going into mid-game. Jesus, man. Now everybody knows why I do post commentary. We are finishing mid-game and we're going into endgame. So in my consideration for endgame, what boss do I want to take? I want to take Giant. I like Giant better. It's a faster fight. I want to go straight to Hand of the King from here. That's an option that I'm going to take. Again, this video's, I don't even know how long this is at this point. This video is going to be long as hell. So I do want to go there. So I'm going to go Giant, and thinking ahead, the lacerating ore might do some good work. It does extra damage to poison, which we're going to get from this if we keep this. It does extra damage to poison if we keep the catalyst card. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm not using support, I'm not using the trap, I'm going to do this here. So the melee is from the flawless is going to do poison because of the catalyst card. The lacerating ore is going to get extra damage from that poison. So I think we're in good shape. I'm going to use it right here. I'm going to take a nice big hit from that mummy there. Eating my words about little to no engagement, right? But it's just if you're clearing the enemies out, if you're actually doing the work, you should be fine. You should be fine. All right, so we're almost at this start enemy. Let's see what it is. We got a legendary. We have legendary Petroglyphs. This is I should probably get to a light. I should probably get to a light. So all right, so there's an elite here. We got ourselves a light. That's always a mechanic. Elites are going to drop lights here. And we have another diamond elite. Not a huge deal. Let me see if I can grab this with my head and then pop it back up here in the light. I should be able to. All right, we're going to get rid of the rapier. We're not going to use it. So here's an option too, right? So Petroglyphs, it's colorless, it's legendary. We can use it if we want. It's going to generate poison, which is great. It's anti-synergistic to the mutations we have, not doing any melee damage. And you think, all right, is this going to be worth it for Giant? Is this going to be worth it for Hand of the King? My answer is no. My answer is no for a couple reasons. Again, that'll lock us out of any melee mutations, but at the same time, the mechanics of this, the lower your health is, the more damage and critical you're going to do. That's not a mechanic we want to mess with. So I'm not going to take that. But in a build where you have tactics, or a build where you're at low health and you want to try it out, Petroglyphs is cool. You could have done that, but that's not our vibe. So we got that second key here. Trying to find the last door. So again, if you get a curse, you get one or two curses. My understanding is they're always going to be before that first door. Sepulcher here, this long hallway is the up and down hallway there is always going to go to a shop, weapon, or skill. There's one of each here. And we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it again. We're going to leave it until the end, leave it until the very end of the biome here, just so that way we can make an informed decision on where we want to go, how we want to go, what we want to do. What you may have also noticed too, so kind of like digging a little bit deeper into Predator, there are some enemies that if they start an attack when you become invisible, they will continue that attack. So one of those enemies is like you can see there, the knife thrower stopped. One of those enemies is the Inquisitor. I to find the light pretty quickly there. Here we go. The other is the, I forget what it's called, the enemy that throws that axe. So you may have noticed I went invisible and the enemy was still throwing the axe. So you just, again, this is something you just kind of learn from experience, something you got to be careful for. I have 18 kills. I'm almost at the end of the level here. I'm not gonna get the 60. So I'm going to engage with this elite now. I just want to get him out of the way. Pretty easy kill. Did not get a triple brutality. Did not get the triple brutality necklace. So I'm just going to recycle it again. Double brutality and 2 extra jumps. Super good. Let's hit up this treasure. I don't know if it's a chest or a altar. Yeah, so we got a chest here or item altar. I don't want either of these. It's just not something that's in the build. Again, we're doing pretty good. I'm going to keep that lacerating aura throughout. Maybe I will get rid of catalyst. Maybe I won't. This little lore room here tells you that one of the shops is a mimic, which means if I choose to buy something, the item quality is going to be up, so it's going to be 11. So what do I want? This is actually really good. This is quite a good synergy for Cleaver. If I were to buy them, I'd grab this, but since we're going into a boss, victims, there's some extra adds for Hand of the King, but the extra damage to Burning Oil really not going to do much. My Sinew Slicer, I already got rid of it. I already got rid of it, so we're not taking it. Let's see, is there anything else I want here? I don't want the bleed and the poison from this. I like Corrosive Cloud, but it's not really the vibe. Not a lot of synergy here. What else? Now, Knife Dance. Knife Dance is great. This is going to be great against Giants. So I'm going to take this over Catalyst. And I just noticed Knife Dance is like a smaller Philosopher's Stone. Did you notice that? I've been playing this game for like literally, I think 6,000 or 7,000 hours, and I never noticed that that's basically the same sprite, except it's a little bit differently shaped. That's amazing. So I'm going to grab this here. This could be mimicked. So what I need to be ready for is I need to be ready for that mimic to come out, right? So let's see what happens. It is. All right, so we're just going to see if we can do some good work. Yep, not bad. All right, so we're going to take this Knife Dance. Yeah, that looks just like the Philosopher's Stone. That's so funny. I'm going to take Knife Dance over Catalyst here. We're going to take it over Catalyst. I'm going to start to shift away from the... Do we even have Poison Synergy anymore? Yeah, I'm just going to shift away from it. It's fine. I would prefer to have Knife Dance into the Giant anyways. And then we're almost done here. So we got lucky. We got lucky a couple times here. So, I mean... Obviously, the Philosopher's Stone, just like forget about it. Absolutely forget about it. But we're getting lucky again here. So there we go. We've gotten 2 good dual stats, which like I mentioned earlier in the video, we got 2 of those, which is beautiful. It's beautiful. So we get 2 extra scrolls than we normally would. We also got a challenge rift, which is great, which means we have 3 extra scrolls. And then we also got... an additional curse. So that gives us 4 extra scrolls here. So we're sitting pretty decent here. We're sitting pretty decent here at 27. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Going into Giant, I think we're going to have 28 maybe. Yeah, we're going to have 28 going into Giant. So that's a pretty good number. That's a pretty good number. And then I think this is a lore room. Yeah, so we're just wrapping up. So as you can see too, so we talked about a lot as the video started, as the video is going on. We sort of talked through a lot of options. Could I do this? Should we do this? What about this mechanic? But as we're coming towards the end of mid-game here, it's almost like we've already laid that foundation. We've laid that foundation, so we kind of don't need to revisit a lot of that stuff. I think we sort of have a groove for a lot of this. I mean, the last thing I think we'll talk about here is the shop. What do we want to do for the shop? Do we want to change from something else, right? Do we want to get rid of Flawless and do something else? Oh, this corridor is kind of a pain in the ass. You actually have to go down and around to get that big food. So, oh, that's a pain. Similar, I think I mentioned like Stilt. Stilt was a little bit sinewy, right? You're gonna get a little bit of corridors and paths that sort of lead you all over the place. Sepulcher could be like that too. And Arboretum. There's actually a handful of biomes like this that you really got to like start to spin around and be mindful of where all the floors and the ceilings are. So, all right, so you can see here. So the mimic is gone. So when the mimic, if you get a mimic item, everything in the shop disappears. So that's how you know that shop is done, right? So we're going to go into this shop here and let's see if we're going to dig something up for another main item. Let's see if we can find something good. Firebrands is great. Bleeding and poisoned. So I think I'm going to take this. All right, so let's do a little bit of shifting. Like I had mentioned earlier, The brutality, you can go melee, you can go ranged, you can go both. So I'm actually going to get rid of the shield here. I'm going to take firebrands. Firebrands is great. So I could dual wield here. I got firebrands. I have flawless. Maybe that's an option, right? What do we have for flawless? We don't have any oil spread, but if we did, we could get double damage on the flawless. So let's keep rolling and see if we can do something here. So we have throwing knife here. So this is where we could pivot. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll through some of this stuff here. Again, there's like a bug with flawless. You got to be careful with it. I thought my game just froze again. So we're going to pivot to ranged. We're going to pivot to a ranged build here. I'm going to take one more peek just in case something insane pops up. Maybe we have a better, yeah, that's it. So we're going to pivot to a completely ranged build. Normally I'd say let's go recycle that food, but you know, we're already like 8 hours into this video. I'm flush with cash. I don't need to worry about it. And we're going to go to giant. So we're almost done here. So we have two more bosses and then we're at the end of the run. Two more bosses and we're at the end of the run. So I did not get the 60 there, right? No surprise. No surprise. So we're going to sadly go through. We're going to take what I would normally recommend too is if you're going to be re-rolling your affixes and you also want to re-roll mutations, do this first. So that way you don't re-roll your affixes and then realize you have no cash. You got no cash for mutations and then you're in a bad spot. So let's see. So we have poison. We have poison here, toxic cloud. We have damage to bleeding and poison. This is sick because we have throwing knives, which will put bleed on everything. So what I would love here, if we could find burning and or poison and or double damage, I would be very happy. Bleeding prop is great, but again, we're going to bosses here. If this was a biome, I'd take this in a second. Shots leave a trail of flames is good, but not what we're looking for. We're looking for that synergy here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll maybe once or twice more. See if we can get something good. 40 damage to burning. That's great. Because again, let's pretend like we don't have all this money. I'm going to re-roll knife dance. So we got a little bit from burning here. Do I want to keep that? Do I want to try to roll poison on this? Do I want to try to roll bleeding causes poisoning? I'm going to roll twice. I'm going to roll once. There we go. 80% to poison, burn, bleed. We're good. So now we get to consider our mutations. So again, combo, right? Initiative, melee, open wounds, predator. These things aren't going to do anything for us. So now we need to open up our minds a little bit and say, okay, well, what is? So we may need to look outside of our brutality mutations to see what else is available. Generally, any mutation that has a percentage. So check this out. So we have 28% on acrobatic pack. You can see here 61. DPS, you can see here that's a flat number for skill cooldown. Networking is a percentage. Anything that has a percentage may work with another color. So I'm going to take something called point blank. Close ranged attacks will do 33% more damage. You're getting an extra third of damage. Throwing knives and firebrands, we're going to be up close for all of that. So that's going to give us an extra 33% damage from all those. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this without a doubt. And then we do not have a trap. So we took support for Concierge. We don't have a trap, so we're not going to grab that. We're not going to grab Tranquility because there will be enemies near us the whole time. I'm going to skip through the survival mutations. There's no food, right? We have no shield. Kill rhythm is an option, right? You could use this to get your throwing knives and firebrands out quicker, but I prefer, you absolutely can do this. It's just not something I'm gonna dig into here. So let's look at our general mutations. These are the colorless ones. So I mentioned disengagement earlier. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab that for safety. We'll be good. And then what are my other options here? So I could take recovery. This might be a good option. So that way, if I get hit, I have a little bit of extra time to get my health back with rally. The downside to most ranged items is that it takes a little bit longer to get your recovery up. So this might help. If I take a hit, I'll have 3 times as long to use my firebrands, use my throwing knives to get that health back. No mercy is an option, but we're only getting like 7.5%. So that's not a lot of health, right? If it was 15% for a boss, I'd consider it, but it's not. A lot of these other things, velocity we don't need, masochist we probably don't need. There are some traps in both of those fights. We probably don't need it. I could take gold plating, which is funny because I have so much gold. That's an option, but again, I kind of want to try to at least keep this a little bit more to a, I don't want to say beginner, but just something that's accessible for having like a quote unquote like overexplained thing. So I think recovery's the move. Recovery's the move. So I'm going to take this and we're done rolling everything. So at this point, this is going to be the end of our build, unless we get a legendary from Giant that's out of control here. So let's take a quick peek here. So the mutations we just talked about are Amulet. We get 2 extra jumps. We get 2 Brutality Scrolls. We have synergy between Bleeding and Poisoned on the Firebrands, Bleeding from Throwing Knife, and Burning on Throwing Knife. We have Burning and Poison on Lacerating Aura, and we have Bleed and Poison on Knife Dance. This is beautiful. This here, you want to see something like this. You want at least 2 items talking, 2 damage dealing items talking to each other. So even if it was just the top, even if my skills had no extra synergy on it, we got Burn, we got Bleed, and we got synergy on each of those. So each one of those is going to do an extra chunk of damage. That's beautiful. So you want something like this. So let's take a look. This is most likely going to be the build, and we're going to head into Giant, and we're going to see how things go. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to use, we're going to try to min-max a little bit here. I'm going to use my Lacerating Aura and not my Knife Dance. I'm going to use the Lacerating Aura. We're going to attack with our Throwing Knives and Firebrands. When the Aura pops, there will be poison in the air. You can see creates a toxic cloud when the effect ends. So we're going to get extra damage to burning while we use it. Once it's done, I'm going to use Knife Dance for the extra poison. We're going to get poison off of Firebrand. So I'm hopeful that this is going to go very well. So let's, so we're already in decent shape here. Wait for that poison, do the Knife Dance. Look at that. It's a nice chunk. I don't think we're going to one phase the Giant, which is fine. I don't know if you just noticed that. I was a little bit too close at that point. I almost got hit, but having the extra, what do you call it there? The extra jump, also going to help here. We're good. Boom. Got him. Okay, so we're good. We're straight here. We're also going to get another scroll from these scroll fragments here. So we're going to grab this. So we're up to 29 scrolls right now. There are 2 extra scrolls in the path that goes to Hand of the King. We're going to take another quick peek here. So in the event that we do decide to go to another biome, we can go from here to High Peak Castle. We can go to Dracula or Hand of the King. We can go Derelict Distillery. We can go Infected Shipwreck if you have the DLCs. But again, I'm gonna sneak right through to Hand of the King. I feel like we've done a really good job. Talked about so much stuff. Again, this sort of like Dr. Spectre daily Balatro 2.5-3 hour video, whatever it ends up being. We've talked through a lot, so I feel like we're good. We're good to go at this point. Again, we're gonna take one peek at the legendary here in case it's something that changes the build. Completely anti-synergistic. We throw out the ice grenade, and then enemies immediately take damage from any of our items. So we're not going to take that, unfortunately. If it was like, I think Firebrand's legendary is double the dot. Like it's really good. So we're not doing anything. We're not touching affixes. We're not touching our mutations. Again, we'll take a quick peek here. That's the build. Again, you want synergy on as much as you can. That's what's going to get your damage up. If you're struggling, your damage doesn't look that high. Again, of course, I have to mention it. Make sure you get your cells into the forge. Get that item quality as high as you can. Make sure that you're swapping your weapons out like we did, right? We had our beginning. We started doing stuff in our early game, switched to mid game, and then at the end of mid game, we have our end game build. If this were 5BC, I would take this all the way to the end. Unless I found something in the shop or an item or a legendary in the 5BC biome, this would be my build. I would change my mutations for the 5BC biome, maybe change them back for the boss or whatever, but item-wise, this would be what I take. And now we're going into Hand of the King. So we have our final boss here. This is the final boss on 0 through 4 BC. Again, trying to make this more accessible without 5 BC content here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to throw our Lacerating Aura. We're going to start getting our damage here. I'm going to watch his attacks. We're going to get the hell out of the way from these bombs. Triple jump, doing some good work here. And now we made it through the first phase. Going to kill these enemies. You got to watch out for this. You definitely want to watch out for that if you're fighting Hand of the King. Those disgusting worms are tricky. It doesn't matter if we get the flawless here or not, because this is the end of the game. If you were going through 5BC, you're going to want to try to get that flawless, because then you have one more chance for a legendary before the end. And that's it. And that's the run. So this is the conclusion to our overexplained 4 BC. Let's talk about everything. Completely rip off Dr. Spetchard video. So that's the vibe. That's the vibe. So I hope this was helpful for everyone. I'm probably not going to do this again because it was just so damn long. But I do hope it was enjoyable. I hope everybody got something at some point, got something out of this. Of course, if you made it all the way through to the end here, you're wild. You're huge. You're an inspiration to the rest of us. So thanks if you watched this whole thing. Thanks for watching the whole thing. But again, hope this was enjoyable. Hope it was knowledgeable. I appreciate your time as always. Like I've mentioned, you know, we have limited time here on this earth. So the fact that you spent some of this with me is an honor. So thank you so much. As always, thanks for watching and good luck out there.